Derby morn, with now just a handful of hours left before you know if you've made the right choice.
It's always, it always has been a, you know, a bad trip to get to the Derby. I've known when, you know, I've had to get out and run the last mile because it's just been impossible to get the car through.
Lester.
That's my boy.
In 1957, I rode Propeller. I've always thought was the biggest certainty I've ever ridden in the Derby.
He is. He's one of the best. He's going to win the Derby today.
So Ivor, who gave me a great ride, the best of the horses that I've won the Derby on.
I shall have a 10 on him in a minute.
And then after that came the jockey. On the day of the Derby, he was a super horse. Just around that time, you know, I think he was unbeatable.
We're all picket men, yes.
And now we come to this one.
So, like, after that wide in. No photographs, please. What about? Well, I'm not a horseman, but I bet on him because he wins, that's why.
Okay, I think there's about 5 or 6 horses that have a very good chance. On form, you know, there's not much between them. There's Troy, Elamanimo, Capon Wood, Leafire's Wish, and probably Nolino. There's not a lot to choose between those 5 horses, I suppose, 5 or 6 horses. It is a great honour to be riding Milford with the Queen, especially in this 200 Derby.
A furlong to go. Comanche won and Baynoon. Comanche won and Baynoon. Comanche won from Baynoon with Crazy. Went inside the final furlong, and it's Lester.The going on. This one for the record, the 28th Classic, as Comanche run. Wins the leisure from Baynoon second, out for Baynoon third. And coming inside the final furlong, it's Shadid, but Byrne is staying on very strongly. Up on the outside, Shadid and Byrne from Supreme Leader down the centre of the track. Shadid could just win this, going up towards the line. Shadid's going to win it. Shadid from Byrne in a photo. Supreme Leader third.
Hard and Roy were fighting it out when Lester Piggott brought St Paddy along with an all-conquering run. He's third from the rails, and now with Alcius and Kithnos in pursuit, St Paddy made certain of victory.
So they have just over a furlong to go, and Lester now beginning to produce John Cherry on the outside, and it's John Cherry on the outside who now heads Bell Palace, and they hit the final furlong, and it's John Cherry on this mammoth weight going away from Bell Palace as they come up towards the line. A superb bit of running and riding. John Cherry in the lead. They got 50 yards to go, and John Cherry a very, very easy winner.
A mark of distinction is opening up, but here comes Royal Academy with a great burst on the outside in the white cap, but they're inside the final furlong, and Leicester's making great strides on Royal Academy in the green jacket on the wide outside, and he's going for everything. He knows where to put his line in. He's driving into the post. It's a photo, but Leicester wins it. Would you absolutely credit it? Royal Academy has won the Breeders' Cup mile.
Brilliant race, that, Leicester. Is that probably your most special moment?
Well, it was a great moment, anyway. Yeah.
But, you know, at what stage did you think you were going to win there?
Well, turning just before we turned for home, I was going so easy that, you know, I was going to win easy. But I think the horse put his foot in the hole that day, and he lost all his momentum, and, you know, he was lucky to win after that because it stopped him in his tracks, really. But he picked up good, you know, but I had about 6 lengths to make up after that. But he, you know, he did it.
But it must have given you a tremendous buzz because you've been off for a while, and then you come back. And I mean, for a British horse to go over in there and win was special in itself. But you know, to have you on board, you know, to put the icing on the cake.
Well, it was you know, a fantastic day, you know, and especially to win on on that horse for Vincent. He was a very good horse that day, and you know, it gave me a great thrill.
I mean, you're a person who doesn't show any emotion, or sort of didn't when you were riding, but I mean, inside, what were you feeling?
Well, you know...
Have you ever come close to tears having won a big race? Have you been so caught up in the emotion?
Not really. But, no, that was, you know, it was an unbelievable day.
Is there a great day, though? I mean, is there something that tops that? What would be your all-time favourite win?
Yeah, well, you know, that had to be one of the best times.
Yeah.
And
would you ever consider a comeback now?
no, I don't think so now, you know.
No.
Well, we were very lucky. You know, it wasn't a very nice experience, and it was the nearest I've ever been to seeing the other side of the moon. But seriously, I think, you know, they should look into it very closely, because air traffic had to be at fault. You know, the fighter pilot obviously didn't know we were there, and as he was doing 800 miles an hour, he, you know, he had to take evasive action when it was very late. And, you know, it shouldn't have happened, really.
I believe he actually radioed to the control tower to say that he'd hit the plane because he thought he had. He was that close.
Well, that is right, you know. He thought he'd caught us at the time.
So you actually, the plane that you were in went into the slipstream of the jet, and you were turned upside down, I believe.
Well, that's what happened, you know. It was just a great big jolt. And we all got thrown up in the air and hit the roof of the airplane. And we were very lucky that it didn't damage the plane.
But anyway, you got there in the end. I think you stopped off and checked the plane and carried on again.
Yes, and you know, luckily the plane was okay, and we got there, and George won the Yorkshire Oaks.
Your retirement, is that definite, or have you left the door open to possibly change your mind?
Well, no, I think this has got to be it, really, you know.
Why? Was it a difficult decision, or what made you decide?
Well, I haven't been since April, and you know, I find it a bit hard to get the weight off now, you know, and so I thought it was best to call it a day, really, you know.
When did you actually make the decision? Was it sudden?
Only recently, you know, in the last month, really, you know.
But how painful is it then to come here and not be so involved as you were?
Well, of course, you miss it, you know, you miss the riding, but, you know, you just can't do it forever, you know.
Well, you were going on year after year and so popular with the people. What made you love the sport so much? What was it about it that was special?
I suppose, you know, when you love to ride in races, and you know, it's a thing that's it's hard to get away from.
What was the special memories for you?
Well, here at Ascot, you know, it was a very lucky. It has been a very lucky course for me here, and you know, I rode some great horses here, you know, over a long period of time.
Would there be one horse that you would single out as your favourite?
Well, it's hard to say that, really, you know, but because there were so many of them, you know, but I suppose the Gold Cups were the favourite ones, you know.
Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, difficult. You've made the decision to stop. What are you going to do now to keep yourself busy?
Well, I have a few things to do, you know, but I don't know really for sure, you know.
Mm-hmm. Going to write a book, maybe?
I've done that. And that, I think it's coming out in November, you know.
But would there be any way that you would stay in racing at all, or consider?
Oh, I think so, yes. You know, there's quite a lot that I can do and will do, you know, and so I'll be around, you know.
Not training?
No, not for the time being, anyway, you know.
Well, we'll let you get back and enjoy the meeting. Thanks very much for talking to us.
This is where you've been introduced, Lester, as a legend to match the Eiffel Tower, in fact. And you are a legend on Arc Day and many other days. Haven't got a ride this year, but Lester, what do you think of the race? What chance has Generous got?
Well, it should be a terrific race. You know, I think Generous is pretty big a certainty as you can have. By an accident, and you know, let's hope he wins. Well,
Lester, in your many octoprills, were there any that you felt you ought to have won when you didn't?
Well, you know, I could have been. You could say I was a bit unlucky on Park Top, and probably Nijinsky. I was unfortunate to get beaten, but that was all. You know, just a little bit probably.
They both came from a long way behind.
Yeah, a fairly good way, because that's the way you had to ride him.
Nijinsky, did Nijinsky have to be ridden like that?
Not really, but that day here, he was having a job to keep up. They went really fast, and you know, I was just having to get after him a bit to keep him up there. You know.
If only we could get Mr. Munro to have measles and you could ride Generous, how would you ride him?
Well, you know, that's up to him, because he knows the horse well, and I don't think he'll have any problems today. You know, I mean, he hadn't got a good draw, but it could be to his benefit, really.
Mm-hmm. What would you think was the main danger?
Well, you know, it looks obvious. Swave Dancer.
Mm-hmm. Any others?
Not really, no.
No. Mm-hmm. Well, let's hope you're right. Lester, your marvellous comeback, it's getting close to the century, isn't it, since you came back?
Yeah, that's right. I've very nearly ridden 100 winners since I started. So I've got about another week to go, I think, and try and do it anyway.
Yeah, well, do that. Never mind the first 100, it's the second and third we want. Anyway, you don't regret coming back?
Oh, no, you know, it's been great, really.
Been great for all of us watching you too.
Thanks, John.
Thanks.
Last night you said you might change the tactics, you'd have to see, and you did it better than ever.
Well, you know, he gave me a great ride, you know. I couldn't believe how well I was going. Turning home, you know. I was canting, really, you know.
Really? Because, I mean, they ganged up behind you, and I thought they might all come after you, but no?
Well, yeah, I just let him go. When he straightened up, and nothing ever looked like it.
Well, we'll take the privilege of showing it to you, Lester, showing the master how it happens. As you say, you turned in pretty close there. You were closer than you'd ever been, I think, in the Derby, this stage.
I probably was, yeah.
And you couldn't believe how well you were going. Had you looked around at all to see how the others were going, fancied horses?
Well, I was following two bad horses most of the way, you know, but I was entitled to be going well, but I really was going well, you know. You know, when I opened up there, you know, it was all over, really.
It's astonishing now, because the ground not not that impossibly heavy, is it, Lester? I mean, it's not a sort of bog derby.
It's not as bad as when Shergo won. It's soft, but it's not. No, it's not as bad as that year.
This was a very backward horse last year, and he's really coming on. I mean, how good is he? You've ridden some great horses in your time.
Well, I think he's a very good horse. It probably, you know, I wouldn't say it was one of the best derbies, because you know, everything's been against the horses so much. But I think he's a very good horse, you know.
Unless we've heard there was a steward's inquiry, and one of the water swimmers was saying it was a very rough race, but presumably that was all behind you. Did you hear screams and shouts behind?
I didn't really, you know. I was always in the first five, I suppose, but when, you know, we didn't go all that fast, really. And when we were coming up to about the 1.25 mile gate, you know, they were all came together a bit because they weren't going very fast. And that was all, you know. I think some of the horses were running a bit freer than the jockeys wanted them to, you know. That was all.
Well, Lester, the question I know everybody looking in will want to ask you, you've got 9 now, you've often been quoted as saying 10, but even the years are creeping up even on you. Are you going to get to 10, or can there be more, 11 and 12?
Well, there'll be another one anyway.
Well, that's all we wanted to hear, really. Lester, thanks very much for talking to us, and congratulations from me and from everyone.
I asked him how the ease of the success compared with his previous 9. He's, you know, he's a very nice horse, and he only just does enough, you know. He never does more than he has to, you know. He'd never win by very far.
How well did the early pace suit you? They could have gone a bit faster for you, I'd have thought.
Yeah, I mean, up the straight the first time, we were going about 5 miles an hour, I think.
Did you think about sort of chasing him up a bit earlier? Because you didn't really make a move till about the 1.25 miles, did you?
No, about 7 furlongs, and I just moved up to the lead at 7 out. And I just raced with him for a bit so that we went a bit faster, that was all.
About the 5, it seemed as though you were having a little trouble sort of shaking off Airborne.
Yeah, I thought he was going better than me once.
Pat Pragmatic's the first one to crack, and Pat's just kept within half a length of you there. A quick look over, and Willie's just starting to make a bit of a move. When did you think you'd really go for home?
Well, I just, when we straightened up, I just got hold of him a bit, and that was enough.
Well, this is where he shows his class. Was he feeling the ground at all, do you think?
Well, it's pretty hard today, you know. He wasn't really feeling it, but I think all the horses are just, you know, saving themselves a bit because it got a bit rough there, you know.
Well, this is obviously the moment you knew that you got it won, because Willie's filly looked as though she's just galloping in the air a bit, and well, your horse must have given you a good feel now.
Oh, terrific! Yeah, you know, he's a lovely horse.
Well, you've ridden some very good horses to win this race, including Lemos and Sagara. How would you compare this one with the really good ones?
Well, Sagara was a great horse. You know, he was better than the Gold Cup horse. You know. But this compares, you know, favourably with any of them.
And could you see this horse going through all the Cup races?
Yeah, it should be. Yeah. Did a lap twice at Liverpool and Pontefract when he was a 2-year-old, and when he was a 3-year-old at Liverpool. It was a long time ago. I don't remember too much about him, but you know, he must have been a freak really, because he was only bred to go, you know, less than a mile, and because he was never that big early on as a 2- and 3-year-old, so he must have grown, you know, 1.5 inches or so as he got older.
How would you have fancied riding him down the sands at Southport?
Well, it would have been an experience, wouldn't it?
Getting like a repeat performance every year. Lester, marvellously done.
Of course, you rode 11 winners of the Gold Cup, which is a greater record than anyone's ever achieved. What, if any, was your secret of riding the Gold Cup?
Well, I rode some good horses, but no, I think you know, there's no secret to it really. I always believed that they had to stay to win the Gold Cup.
Which do you look upon as your great Gold Cup winners?
Well, Ardros and Sagara were the best.
Sagara was a horse, well, his speed was quite unusual for a stayer, wasn't it?
Yes, he was you know, a very good horse. He won the Grand Prix, and he wasn't far below the best 3-year-olds in France of his year.
But it seemed to me that riding at the Royal Meeting was always just something a little bit special in the year to you.
Well, I think it is. You know, the Royal Meeting here is what, you know, most of the trainers look up to. You know, all the races are good races, and the prize money is very good. And it means a lot to win here, I think. You know.
Did the occasion generate a little bit more adrenaline even for you?
Well, I don't think so really, but, you know, this is the place where you want to win.
Well, the King George has been a very special race for you. You've won 7 of them. And, of course, 3 of them since De started the sponsorship, which has meant 3 diamonds. What exactly have you done with the diamonds?
Well, I think my wife has got those.
And you've also won 13 crystal trophies as top jockey here and elsewhere. I've always wondered what you've done with them.
Well, I've still got those.
Well, when you come back here as a trainer, but what do you feel you'll miss most?
The atmosphere, really, riding here. You know, you know, there's something about this place that is just a bit different.
And when you do come back as a trainer, will you be wearing a top hat?
I expect so.
Lester, many, many congratulations. Even by your standards, it's a bit special.
Thanks a lot, you know.
Tell us, though, I mean, for you to come back after this time, did a race like this didn't it put more pressure on you? You must have felt this morning this is a bit of a day.
Not really, you know. I knew I needed a lot of luck today, and even to get here, you know. And I had it, you know, with a big slice of luck.
Well, but you took your luck. You've always taken your luck down the years. But you know, you were in wonderful shape. I mean, there seems to be no problem. All the bits work so well then.
I had a good horse as well, you know, and he really ran a terrific race, you know.
Let's look at the race, Lester, because he didn't actually break very well, did he?
No, he was a bit slow because on the inside there, and the man was holding him, and he was just a bit slow out, you know.
And you had a bit to do off the turn. It's a short straight here.
And he ducked a bit there. He would have won a bit further otherwise, you know.
Well, you've got somewhere to go here.
Yeah.
But when you really drive, Lester, I mean, it's 20 years since Nijinsky. Is it still all there for you? Here we are.
Oh, yeah, you know, you never forget, you know.
Well, I don't know how much you've forgotten, but there's not enough of the others here. That must be a sweet moment for you now.
Oh, terrific, yeah.
And a lovely horse.
Yeah, and a great ride, you know.
Well, the one thing I have to ask you, it's 20 years since Nijinsky, so I've many 100 years since you started riding. How much longer? How much longer?
Nobody knows that.
Well, we'll hope with many more Breeders' Cups. Thank
you very much. Thanks a lot.
Ireland's first Breeders' Cup from Vincent O'Brien's first runner and Lester Piggott's second ride. Royal Academy beats It's All Greek to Me with Priolo third and pays $7.60. $7.60 Royal Academy. That's 14-5 favourite Royal Academy. The place $5.60 and $18.20. The show $4.20, $9.20 and $4.80. And the forecast, look at that, $470.
The first time I rode for him, I think, was in the Gold Cup on Gladness.
One of the memories he has of that was the detailed instructions I gave him as to how to ride the mare over 2.5 miles. And, you know, I felt that I was entitled to tell him how she was going to be ridden, and I did it.
They had infinite respect for each other and were, as we know, immensely successful together. But, you know, quite simply, Lester drove Vincent mad.
We'll put him in front this time, Lester. You'll go back a bit further on that same gallop. But these two will be working mostly behind him, you know. I'd hope he'd finish in front.
He didn't like him riding at work. He gave that away fairly soon in their relationship, because Lester would go and look to find out a few things for himself.
Famously, what Lester would do was to come along and then gallop off in front and find out how good the horse was, then tell all his punters.
Well, this, of course, drove Vincent round the bloody bend. I think it's on tape somewhere. I've seen it.
That was a right mess up, huh? What a balls of a bit of work.
I mean, he's perfectly happy to go on record that, you know, I find him a pain in the neck, you know, but they were a wonderful pair.
Mate, Lester. And it's nice, everybody's so excited to see you today after all your problems. Where everybody is so excited. You're back here, 116 winners as a jockey, 1 as a trainer, and 2 as an owner. That's what I call greedy. What do you say?
Ah, terrific, isn't it?
Terrific?
Yeah. Over a long period of time.
Oh, it's a long time, yes. But you were at the top of your game every single year you came here.
Well, I don't know about that, but for a good few years, I suppose, you know. And you were always second, weren't you?
Thank you very much. Yeah, always second, he says. Yeah, well, most of the time. But would you, you know, the Royal Meeting, what would be your highlight of the Royal Meeting? Can you remember?
It was some terrific days, you know, but I suppose the Gold Cup...
O'Brien?
Well, the Gold Cups on Ardross and Sagaro were the...
Sagaro, 3 Gold Cups?
Were the big days, you know.
Yeah. 8 wins for Vincent?
Yeah. And I think was it 8, probably 6 for him, you know.
Yeah.
And you rode one of them, didn't you?
Yeah. You know who that was?
Yeah.
The sprinter.
Swing Time, wasn't it?
What?
Swing Time.
Exactly what it was.
Yeah,
Swing
right,
time.
yeah.
And you told me what to do.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You must have had your money on. Huh? Anyway, everybody out there, everybody is so glad to see you after your problems. And how are you? How do you feel?
Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, yeah I'm fine. You know. I don't think I'll be riding this week, but you know, probably the week after.
So there you have it from down in the weighing room. Lester Piggott is going to be riding in 2 weeks' time.
And there's Lester, looking positively radiant. What a very, very happy sight.
No one ever has or ever will dominate the Derby like Lester Piggott. More than anything else, more than the 11 Jockeys Championships, 30 English Classics and 5,000 winners worldwide, it's what he did around the horseshoe-shaped helter-skelter challenge of the Derby track that defined him.
Well, with me now is the most successful man ever at the Epsom track.
Lester Piggott, this master tactician, has now won another Derby.
For 5 decades, from chubby-faced teenager to wizened old grandad, he ruled the roost at Epsom.
The Derby is a bit different to the other races.
Lester never spoke much more than a mutter, but his deeds were shouts where it mattered. His record 9 Derby winners are only the outer show of the spell he cast over an event to which his unique talents were so perfectly attuned. For when it comes to courage and balance and strength and timing, Epsom sets the highest of bars. To clear them, Lester added an innate understanding of the horse beneath and a ruthless, starving man's hunger that only victory could assuage. Never Say Die in 1954 was his first Derby triumph.
And what a superb ride by young Piggott, the 18-year-old boy wonder of the turf.
He was already the bad boy folk hero of the track and bold enough to win over hurdles at Cheltenham 3 months before. Indeed, study the riding style on Never Say Die, and then on his next 2 Derby winners, Crapello and St Paddy.
For Golden Boy Lester Piggott, perhaps the best Epsom rider since the immortal Steve Donahue, it was his 3rd Derby win.
And you see the stirrup length of the jump jockey that both his father and Grand National winning grandfather had been before him. Increasing weight was heading Lester after them, was only avoided by a regime of self-denial, of which the famous cigars and black coffee were just the easy part. Both Crapello and St Paddy were trained in Newmarket by Piggott's first great mentor, Sir Noel Merlis. But by the time of Sir Ivor in 1968, Lester had switched to the Irish wonder that was Vincent O'Brien. By then, he was already 5 times champion jockey, and his overseas experience and the introduction of starting stalls had seen his stirrups shorten to give us the coiled-up highwayman that lives in the memory. For on Sir Ivor, it was robbery at the gallop.
Lester Piggott switching Sir Ivor out from the rails, but gone on with a commanding lead.
However many times you replay it, you'll never believe that Sir Ivor will catch the leader combat. Lester never doubted it.
Then coming to the line, Sir Ivor's got him. Sir Ivor's the winner.
Piggott and O'Brien were the greatest partnership of the 20th, or maybe of any century anyway. 3 more very different Derby wins they shared.
£5 on Nijinsky, 51.
Nijinsky, so majestic in that glorious summer of 1970.
Is Nijinsky coming away an easy winner of the Derby?
Roberto, trapped against the rail and only successful through one last whip-cracking salvo from the rider above.
And at the post, I think Lester Piggott has just forced Roberto's head in front of Rheingold.
The Minstrel, Lester Piggott versus Willie Castle. The Minstrel against Hotgrove in one of the finest final furlong duels ever seen at Epsom.
It's Lester Piggott on the near side, just a winner from Hotgrove.
In between, there had been the surprise but beautifully executed victory on the French-trained Emperor. And finally, there was the regal rout with which Tinoso powered home in 1983.
Lester Piggott coming home on his 9th Derby winner, Tinoso.
Couldn't believe it was so easy, no? It's running away.
Of course, There was much, much more to Leicester than just the derby. Spats, suspensions, injuries, private complications, and an unhappy tax scandal which took him to jail, and from which, at 54, he moved on to win the richest race of his whole career just 12 days after his return to the saddle.
Royal Academy does it, and the living legend out of retirement, 54-year-old Lester Piggott.
But Epsom is where his spirit belongs. For on a racehorse, Lester Piggott was nothing short of a genius.
Thank you very much. Good old Lester Piggott.
He could do the things that others couldn't even dream about.
Well done, Lester. Congratulations from everybody, Thank you.
The Derby is where that genius shone most bright. His glow should never dim.